Humbled. We've been humbled. Humbled by a minute microbe that's taken us down. When I was growing up, in the shadow of the Cold War, we thought it would be missiles. Apocalyptic films were common about missiles taking us out. But this is not a missile, it's a microbe, an invisible enemy, so small. As Holy Week begins, we have two versions of power that will play out. Today is Palm Sunday, the day on which Jesus rode into Jerusalem on the back of a young donkey. This day has been described by Christians for generations as the triumphal entry into Jerusalem. But have you ever asked yourself, if this was a triumphal entry, why did they crucify Jesus at the end of the week? If this is such a glorious Palm Sunday for all Christians, what goes wrong by Friday that Jesus will find himself betrayed by one of his own disciples, arrested by the high priest's guard, accused by a coalition of religious leaders, tried by the Roman governor, and sentenced to die the death of a common criminal? Jesus' procession into Jerusalem was not the only one people would have witnessed. The governor of Judea, Pontius Pilate, would have led a procession of Roman cavalry and centurions into the city, as it was standard practice for the Roman governor of a foreign territory to be in its capital for religious celebrations. This would have happened around that time, maybe a few days before, maybe even that day. It was the beginning of Passover, a strange festival that the Romans allowed. However, the Romans would have been aware that this festival celebrated the liberation of the Jews from another empire, the Empire of Egypt. And so Pilate had to be in Jerusalem. Since the Romans had occupied this land by defeating the Jews and deposing their king about 80 years before, uprisings were always in the air. And so Pilate had travelled from his preferred headquarters in Caesarea by the sea to the stuffy provincial capital. The temple would be the centre of Passover activity, and Pilate's activity in Jerusalem, entering the city to the Antonia fortress, the Roman garrison, next to the temple, was meant to send a message to the Jews and to those who might be plotting. It was a show of military might and strength. Jesus' procession was meant to show the opposite. Matthew records Jesus' own words as he instructs his disciples to go into the city and find a disciple tied up. They're to ask the owner if they may use the donkey, and they're to say the Lord needs them. And then Jesus quotes from Zechariah chapter 9, "Say to the daughter of Zion, see, your king comes to you, gentle and riding on a donkey, on a colt, the foal of a donkey." There's more to this passage than just a description of Jesus' means of transportation. The prophet Zechariah is speaking to the nation. God has not forgotten them, neither has he forgotten us. But the king they seek will come to them humbly, not on war horse, but on a slow-moving donkey, the symbol of a king who comes in peace, according to Zechariah. What a contrast! Pilate, asserts the power and might of the empire of Rome, which crushes all who get in its way. Jesus riding on a young donkey, embodying the peace, the shalom that God brings to us, a humble king, humbled for a season to receive a name from the lips of sinners unto whom he came. Faithfully he bore it, spotless to the last, brought it back victorious when from death he passed. What a contrast between the two kingdoms. And although many of the people wanted to side with Jesus, they thought Jesus could do for them what Rome did for their rulers, make their lives better, deliver them from the oppressive system under which they worked and lived. And that's why the crowd turns on Jesus by the end of the week. They don't think he's going to do any of those things. In addition, Jesus is not going to make their lives better immediately. Their religious leaders, all of them, never agree on anything, but agree that Jesus is going to attract the attention of the Roman Empire, especially during Passover, and Rome is going to come down hard and fast on the entire nation. And the mobs wanted to be rid of him. Jesus, in their minds, never did what they wanted him to do. He never defeated the Romans. He never dissolved the unfair tax system. He never put common people in charge of the government. Pilate had the custom of releasing prisoners, many of whom were political prisoners. But on this last day in the life of Jesus, Pilate offers the crowd a choice between Barabbas, a known robber, and Jesus, a failed Messiah. I wonder what we would have chosen. That is the choice we make each day, to choose power or to choose love, to choose might or to choose humility, to choose the way things are done over the way God intends them to be. Truly, we have been humbled. The humble King comes to us at this time. Two types of power, two theologies, two choices. What would you choose? What kind of king would you want?